All of the language that we've just been through, all of those kinds of tools are pointless if the tone still feels really combative. As humans, we are total giveaways when it comes to how we actually feel. Even animals can read our micro expressions to a ridiculous degree. People can read you and they will react. Now, this doesn't mean we have to repress our feelings. What it actually means is working hard to notice how we feel, which we avoid far too much, and to avoid reacting to our emotions. Instead, we want to make a choice to respond to them, right? So we're going for response over reaction. When we react to our feelings, we're basically losing control, and we can do some very uncool things. We can all relate to this. It's the tired colleague who is snapping at us. It's the anxious manager who is kind of blowing up over something really small. It's most people when they're hungry. These are reactions that aren't kind of noticing how people are actually feeling. They're playing out on these emotions without realizing it. But when we notice these things, we're able to name it, sort of explain ourselves and understand ourselves. And actually that creates just that little bit more space to make a choice how we want to respond. Now, this is particularly important in those more difficult conversations, because when we react in those conversations, people are already a little bit defensive, we cause more harm. So how do we do this? So if possible, if you have the time and the space to do it, breathing. There is some pretty solid evidence around certain kinds of breathing exercises and the role they play in calming people down, usually by engaging the parasympathetic nervous system. The first thing that we actually advise is, in the moment, just take a few deep breaths with a little bit more emphasis on the exhale. That seems to work, and you can do that really, really quickly. If you want to go a little bit more, kind of take some time out, one that I use personally and find really useful is a little bit more detailed. So you pop a hand on your stomach and a hand on your chest. You inhale deeply through your nose. You hold your breath for a count of 2, and then you exhale through your mouth for a count of 4. Have a little pause and then repeat. So if you want to do that with me, stomach, chest. And repeat. Literally having just done that then, I felt my body change. It's pretty cool, for me at least anyway, how quickly that can put me in a slightly different space. So that will help calm us down and get us ready for a more productive conversation. What can also help is pretty simple, which is naming the emotion that comes up. When we name how we feel, we're re-engaging something called the prefrontal cortex, which is like the rational bit at the front of our brain. And often in our sort of rapid emotional reactions, that bit has fewer connections to the rest of your brain. So naming it sort of brings it back online, so to speak. And what that gives us is a bit more control and choice and a bit less reactivity. So once we've taken that breath, if we can notice and name what we're feeling. So you might say, I noticed that I'm feeling a little bit frustrated. I noticed that I'm feeling a little bit anxious. For some people, it's even more helpful to name the physiology. So say, I noticed I've got that nervous feeling in my stomach and my throat's a little tight. Doing that draws you out of that immediate defensive response and makes openness way more likely. And people will see that in you, as well as makes it less likely that you are reactive. So working to name what you feel will make it far less likely that you're being reactive and gives you a little bit more choice. But naming it with someone else also helps them to understand what's going on for you. So if you're feeling really exhausted, really drained, naming that will help others understand why you're a bit grumpy, right? And that means they're less likely to make up stories, blame themselves, say that you're a bad person. You're giving them that information. And really this is the first step to emotional intelligence, which makes those difficult interactions far more fruitful.